It was May 2018 when Kawaki made his debut in the story of Boruto with chapter 23 after his perplexing teaser from the prologue, and exactly 7 years and 1 month later, he's about to make a major comeback in the same chapter of Two Blue Vortex. He will be joining the Jura fight, but it might turn out completely different than everyone's expectations. Instead of him coming to save Boruto, he would rather wait for Jura to finish him off, as it would make the things much more easier. This would not only make Kashin Koji's prophecy come true, but could also make Kawaki a show stealer. However, it won't be as simple as Kawaki just appearing to fight the big bad once he gets rid of the main character, and that's because his new limitless form comes with some complications. Some of them are setups that could lead to something massive in the future, like the reveal of a backstory which would turn around everything, and some are just realizations which come with power that will help us figure out a lot of mysteries from the prologue scene. So let's start with the biggest question. What would be the calculative timing of Kawaki to appear on the battlefield? Will he appear behind Jura in the beginning or the next chapter? Or is he about to make an appearance when Boruto would be on the verge of death just to save him? But that would contradict the visions of Koji, so could it be that he will make an appearance just after Jura kills Boruto? Well, to get the answer to that question, let's go back to chapter 15. Boruto revealed to Kawaki that Amado has been holding back his true potential through the limiters. It was something that he was supposed to know at his own, but now that this knowledge has been granted to him early, it must be for some sensible reason. We saw Kawaki acting on this intel that Boruto gave to him as he went to Amado and started interrogating him just so he would turn off his limiters. But in a non-surprising turn of events, Amado used a secret shutdown code to deactivate Kawaki. It was the same code that he revealed to Aida back in part 1. This means he already knew a time would come when he would need to use it to protect himself. But then the question pops, why didn't he use it in the future to stop Kawaki from wreaking havoc in the shinobi world? I would answer that in this video as well, but first let's get back to the planned progression of Kawaki, which would help us understand his role in the next chapter. So the reason Boruto revealed the plans of Amado to Kawaki was for the sole purpose of defeating Jura. He wants a strong accomplice who would take down Jura, meaning he was expecting Kawaki to engage in a tag team fight with him. But what needs to be noted is that Boruto made his plan without realizing the Sand Village strategy of Kashin Koji. He had no idea that Koji was going to sacrifice some people to bring out the best outcome. This means he wasn't planning on to fight Jura so sooner, which also signifies that he was expecting Kawaki to take some time too, before he comes back with a much stronger form and agrees to fight the Shinju together. But since Boruto broke the normal chain of events and decided to appear before Jura, he technically ruined all his prior plans, and you won't believe that Kawaki also broke the promise that he made to Boruto just 2 chapters after getting informed about the limiters. Soon after he became conscious in chapter 18, Amado put forward the deal to revive Akebi in return of unlocking his limiters. But what's crazier is that Kawaki asked him to not just unlock the limiters, but also power him up in every way possible, no matter scientific or not, just so he could get strong enough to destroy the Shinju, Code, and also Boruto. That's right, he wanted to kill Boruto with the same powers that he revealed to him. If by chance Boruto had never came to reveal this to him, there was no way for Kawaki to protect himself from the wrath of Jura in the future. Even though his recovery powers had been set to maximum, there still were tons of possibilities for him to get fed to the Ten Tails. That's what had been happening in every other timeline, and looking at how this timeline was a special one, just because the Ten Tails had gained consciousness, it was just a matter of time before Kawaki would have gotten his fate seized. But instead of having some gratitude towards Boruto for this information, he ended up making the most pathetic move, which was to ask Amado for certain power-ups that would rank him way above his counterpart. At this point in the story, Kawaki believes in hack powers more than anybody, and that's actually the only way for him to get more stronger due to the restrictions of time. But the fact that he wanted to get rid of Boruto with these new powers makes me doubt that he would actually come to save him. And that's because his intervention would kind of falsify the prediction of Kashin Koji, who believes Boruto is dead for sure in this fight. What's interesting is that Koji could have no idea about this revelation of the limiters that was made to Kawaki in chapter 15. This means his emergence could come as a surprise to him as well. But the reason for Kawaki to let Jura destroy Boruto could be an opportunistic predator type of strategy. Kawaki could see this as a massive chance to save himself from the guilt of killing Boruto. He hasn't witnessed Momoshiki by his own eyes, which means Boruto hasn't been problematic to anyone so far. However, the fact that he admits the situation has worsened as Momoshiki has been silent for 3 whole years acts as a reason for him to still get rid of Boruto. But in case Momoshiki wouldn't come out, even when Jura would be about to kill Boruto, would make one thing clear, that his threat was officially gone. So there was literally no reason for Kawaki to kill Boruto at first place. But since Jura Jura would do that for him, he would be able to avoid the guilt of killing him, as there is a chance that Momoshiki's danger had come to an end. Another reason for why I think Kawaki will intervene after Jura vs Boruto gets over is because of this foreshadowing from the anime, which showcased Urashiki giving his take after seeing the Jogan activate in front of him. The place was the Land of Wind. The Otsutsuki had the Rinnegan in both eyes, making him look similar to Jura. The one siding with Boruto was Shinki, the same person whose rescue mission is going on in the manga right now, and looking at how he may be brought back in a chapter or two, which would then lead to him joining the Jura battle. There is a chance for Boruto's Jogan to activate against Jura, since the anime has teased such events before. On top of that, Jura could be the metaphorical representation of the destruction that Toneri was talking about in his prophecy. So if he kills Boruto, it might transfer his soul to the Pure Lands, which could lead to the awakening of the Pure Eye. And after Boruto is dead, Kawaki could appear as a surprise before Jura to flex his new powers. Luckily for him, Jura would have already finished his biggest task, which was to kill Boruto. But in an unexpected turn of events, after Boruto comes back to life, likely through the Jogan, it would make it clear to Kawaki that Momoshiki's threat is now over, which explains why he decides to seal him in the future instead of killing him. So a few things are clear by now. Kawaki's emergence could not come as a rescue to Boruto, rather an aftermath to his death. Kashin Koji witnessing the death of Boruto with prescience would have been unable to see his divine awakening, since it takes place in some other plane. So it may be necessary for Boruto to die in order to purify his soul from Momoshiki and then come back with more power. But we would need to keep the prologue in mind, where Kawaki was a bit surprised to see Boruto activating the Karma Seal. By this we can conclude that we won't be seeing him use the Karma against Jura by himself. He would either decide not to use it, or it would come as an outcome of the resonance. Another reason for Kawaki to just focus on sealing Boruto could come after he sees him coming back to life. If Boruto is actually protected by the heavens, then they wouldn't allow anyone to kill him, and he would come back time to time again, just like the Biju. So this may be why Kawaki would believe it's better to seal him than creating a possibility for him to come back. Nevertheless, there is something more in the Kawaki vs Jura fight that I don't think anyone is talking about. How did Amado agree to turn off the limiters of Kawaki? We saw him proposing the deal of reviving Akebi, who could possibly become an Otsutsuki, and now that chapter 23 is hinting at Kawaki's most awaited comeback, could it be that he has brought back Akebi as per Amado's instructions? Well, the answer could lie within the type of transformation that Kawaki would appear with. If he has actually not just gotten rid of the limiters, but also got himself injected with the Shibai cells or some other scientific procedures which make him more stronger, then it's most likely a yes. But if he has just been made a bit more stronger, so much that he would be able to give Jura a tough fight, then maybe the Akebi side of the story would need to wait a bit more. Kawaki's true power would make him as strong as Ishiki, and while many think Jura is stronger than him, a number of people actually don't think that way, which means they believe unlocking Kawaki's limiters would make him the strongest in the verse. Now, to determine where Akebi fits into all this, how much power was granted by Amado to Kawaki, and what would be the endgame of this arc, I have a really strong basis to figure that out, and that is the format of the manga. I have mentioned this in my last Kawaki video, but it makes too much sense, so let's recap it all. The 4th volume of Two Blue Vortex had Boruto with long hair on the cover, which signifies the reveal of the prescience ability in this chapter. The 5th volume, which ends with chapter 21, could have Sarada on the cover in the future for obvious reasons, but when it comes to the 6th volume, which has just begun with chapter 22, it's a no-brainer that Kawaki would dominate this volume cover, meaning there is going to be a lot of Kawaki action in the next 4 to 5 chapters. So for every character who got themselves on the cover page has something remarkable or memorable throughout the volume. The case of Boruto and Himawari is obvious, as they showcase their resolve, as well as the attainment of new powers. The Sarada one from the 2nd volume was because of her feelings for Boruto, which glued together the entire Team 7 later in the volume. Then Boruto in the 4th volume was a throwback to the flashback sequences, which elaborated the power of prescience and concepts such as the singularity of fate. The second appearance of Sarada on the volume would be an outcome of her Mangenkyo awakening, as well as the astonishing fight with Ryu. Now when it comes to Kawaki getting his first volume cover page, there are only two possibilities that I think could come true. Either he would defeat Jura with the newly acquired powers of Ishiki, or after Boruto comes back from death and lands a final blow on Jura in the middle of his fight with Kawaki, which would have strained the Shinju a lot. There could be the reveal of some unexpected backstory, which would shape the entire mindset of Kawaki. What I'm really interested to talk about is the second possibility, where Kawaki might or might not be the one to finish Jura. However, there would be a vital puzzle piece that would not just make him conquer the volume cover, but also shift the whole narrative of the story towards the sequence from the first chapter. So what most of the fans are missing out is that Kawaki likely cannot attain his true powers till Amado first unlocks his limiters and then enhances him with scientific ninja tools, or maybe even the Shibai cells. It was evident in chapter 18 when he asked him to make him stronger in any way possible. This insight must have hit him after he got badly hit by Jura. Maybe he knows that he will need to go beyond Otsutsuki to defeat this new enemy. What's surprising is that the clog rhyme who bullied Kawaki in the beginning was really mean to him, and so is Jura. This might not be a coincidence at all. It could be that Jura's instincts make him hate Kawaki due to his affiliation with Ishiki Otsutsuki. It would be symbolic if he actually gets defeated by Kawaki based on how Jigen tamed the Ten Tails, or let's say used it as a chakra source throughout his life. So if Ishiki's powers are not enough to defeat Jura, then Kawaki may have been amped up by some other special ways by Amado. And this brings us to the main deal that would determine everything. There is no way Amado would make Kawaki the strongest in the verse without the assurance of getting his daughter back. Let's say Kawaki somehow agrees to revive Akebi, but then he refuses for some reasons after getting the power up. Amado could simply shut him down in any such scenario, which means it's not a valid possibility. So what I believe could have happened is that Amado agreed to make Kawaki as powerful as he could, and after he could feel the powers through his genes, he decided to use the karma to revive Akebi. But what's interesting would be that he didn't wait to see if she's an Otsutsuki or not, as there was something way more important in his head, which was to arrive at the battlefield and defeat Jura. And that's exactly what's going to happen in the next chapter, and this only means one thing. If Jura gets defeated in the next chapter, no matter whether it's Kawaki, Boruto, Daemon or Hidari who offers the final blow, then we would already have the character who would lead us to the next big arc of the story. A transitioning phase that gets Konoha destroyed, a variable that Koji could never get, and that is Akebi, the daughter of Amado. You guys already know I'm going to talk about the mother-son theory, which I have recalled many times, but just to let you know, whenever I bring it up in some related video, there are always some new discoveries that I'm excited to share with you all. So after Akebi comes back to life and the threat of Jura would be gone, Kawaki will be given a strong reality check about his past that would change everything. Amado could reveal himself as his maternal grandfather, which would make Akebi his mother, who had died when he was just 3 years old. Considering how he was 14 in Boruto Part 1, and Akebi died 12 years before Amado revealed her story to Konoha, this makes perfect sense. Now what Amado revealed about Akebi is that she died of a mysterious illness. But what you guys may haven't noticed is that even though Aida confirmed her death as well as her age at the time of dying, she doesn't confirm the exact cause, which leaves us an open door for a brand new possibility. So what if it wasn't some sort of disease, but in reality a ninja conflict? If Akebi was actually the mother of Kawaki, then it would make Kokasu her husband, and most of you would be like, how in the world did she fall in love with him? Well, the Kokasu that we get to see in the story is a drunkard who doesn't even care about his child and likes to beat him up whenever he makes a mistake. But it was revealed in the anime that he once was a legendary shinobi, and I don't think it's just some random detail. It could be that Kokasu was actually a great shinobi back in the day, and Akebi was his lifelong lover. By the time when they had Kawaki, Kokasu's reputation may have given rise to a number of new enemies, which would have obviously put his family under danger. One day the same enemies could have attacked his wife Akebi behind his back, and that may have been the day which changed him forever. He went from a renowned shinobi to a broken drunkard who blamed everything on the ninja system and was never able to treat his son well after that. And once Aida, who's a singularity of fate, would confirm this story to Kawaki, it would drive him to the point of ending the age of shinobi once for all. A master plan that Amado had been cooking since years to avenge the death of his daughter. And when you look at the prologue scene with this knowledge, you would realize that why Kawaki's jacket looks identical to the one worn by his father. It was a hidden tribute that we couldn't catch for so long. If you like this video, you will definitely enjoy these too, so check them out right now and I will see you next time.